Singh to please come up on stage and start the session.
Our next session is a very interesting topic that's always pertinent for everyone in HR. We speak a lot about employee retention, but over a period of time, retention has evolved more into providing the right employee experience and employee engagement. And we're going to have the next panel anchored by Ms. Manu Wadhwa to discuss this topic. Manu, an experienced HR specialist, leads the people strategy at Sony Pictures Networks India since 2019, with over 2 decades of global HR experience, including roles at Amex, GE, and Coca-Cola. She focuses on creating a compelling employee experience and implementing best talent practices at SPN. She is passionate about travel and culinary exploration. Manu enjoys experiencing diverse global cuisines. I request Manu Wadhwa, Mr. Ravinder Kumar, CHRO Tata Motors, Dr. C. Jaikumar, Executive Vice President and Head Corporate Human Resources, L&T Limited, and Mr. Shaji Matthew, Group Head of HRD and CHRO Infosys, to please come up on stage.
I'm just waiting for them to close the doors. Hello. Hi. Thanks so much for joining us back after a coffee engagement which is happening outside while we talk about employee engagement inside. In the spirit of conversation on tech enabling employee engagement and experience, what does employee engagement mean to us? Employee engagement talks about the level of commitment an employee, a worker has for the organization's goals. It talks about the enthusiasm which they have towards their job. It talks about the emotional investment they have in the organization and its people. And most importantly, it talks about the trust which they have in the management and the vision of the organization. We are here to talk about the facets of engagement which are enabled by technology, some things which can be shifted, and some things which are best handled with a human touch, and with a stellar panel that I have with their outstanding experience in the industry. I'm sure we'll learn a lot of their cases, their experiences. But before I get started with the panel, let me share some statistics with you, which is why this session should be very important for you to learn and take back on. In the Gallup study conducted years and years, and it's repeated every single time the Gallup study has come out with its outcome, organizations with a very highly engaged workforce have 2x return on investment and, more importantly, return on sales. These organizations have a growth index which is 3x more than their industry counterparts. And more importantly, their employees generate 22% higher productivity than any other competitor in the industry that they work in. If these statistics are not interesting for you, you should just go back and reflect on them once more, because if you would like your organizations to generate 2x value for their stakeholders, this session will really talk about how to get there. In this spirit, Let me first start with an opening conversation with all the panelists. How have you seen engagement evolving in the various industries you represent, have worked in? And secondly, in the current context, how have you seen technology enabling this engagement for value generation for the organization? This is to all of you, and any one of you can get started.
Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here this afternoon. So I represent the IT and IT-enabled services industry, which employs over 5 million people in India. And as all of us know, it is a very people-intensive industry. So I had a good fortune of being in this industry for the last 3 decades, seeing how the industry evolved, technology evolved, the engagement evolved. But I think what we have seen after the pandemic is nothing like what we have seen any time before. For instance, the entire definition of workplace itself has changed today for us. We are working in a hybrid environment which we could not even have thought about a few years ago. Think about some of the Wall Street banks allowing us to work from homes. It could be never thought of in the past. The other thing that has happened is over 50% of our employees have joined us in the last few years, that is during or after pandemic. They are all working in a hybrid environment. So there is a huge need for a culture transformation in most of our organizations because of that. And then we heard about the multi-generational workforce who are more purpose-driven, who look at what is the value system of the organization. So the engagement to that extent has also to be, in my mind, what I call N:1, which is very personalized. 2, it has to be anytime, anywhere. And people also expect more of a consumer class experience. They are all used to the Amazons and the Netflix, and that is what they would expect from the organizations also. So now coming to Manu's question on what are some of the things that we are doing. We are a technology company. We've been on this journey for several years now. So first, we've been on what we call a digital-first journey. Then we moved to a cloud-first journey. And today, we are on an AI-first journey. So during this last few years, what we have done is a bunch of, about 200 plus of our applications, which used to be web-based, we moved all of them to mobile application, into one mobile interface. We call, in our company, it's called Infimi platform, which is anytime, anywhere platform that's available for everybody at across the geography. It really has become a differentiator for us during the pandemic or in a hybrid environment. And this platform obviously has a lot of AI capabilities inbuilt into it. It gives not just to people, it makes a recommendation. And if you are supposed to take an action, it will tell you what you're supposed to do as you start your day in the morning. So all of that is built into it. So that's the one place platform for everybody. The 330,000 Infozion, as we call the Infosys people, they all use this application. The second example I can talk about is our learning platform. So we've been very high into learning. There is a large training facility that we have set up in Mysore, where we can train about 14,000 people at any given time. But then over the period of the years, we moved to more of digital platform. We call that internally Lex. It has got about 15,000 plus courses right now. What is interesting about it is it has got bite-sized learning. If someone has got 5-10 minutes before boarding a flight, if a salesperson wants to look at something which he's going to have the next meeting with the client, he could actually go and attend that. To the other extreme, there are very large programs which will go through assessment and certifications. All of it is done, proctored on the platform. So it really has changed the culture of learning in the organization. Today, we see that every employee on an average has about 35 hours of learning every week. So that is the kind of learning that, so the culture of learning has completely changed. Here also, depending on the person's role in the company, the platform, the AI will suggest what training he or she should take. The nudges will come. So again, it's AI driven. There is an AI assistant, conversational assistant on the platform, which again will guide them through the entire process. The third example I will give you is an AI assistant for every person in the organization. So if you look at it, we used to get a few 100,000 queries every year from the employees. So these are queries regarding their benefits, their salaries, their insurance, leave, all kind of policies. In the past, when you have a query, you go to your web portal where you have the policy documents. You can go through all that information and figure out what applies to you. Obviously, it's a time-consuming process. It's a global policy document. Now, today what we do is, depending on the person's context, and this is the N:1 experience that I'm talking about, the assistant will tell you exactly if you're traveling to a place, what is your travel benefits, your per diem, all that is required. Or if you want to, and now we are taking it to the next level where you can do transaction on top of it. So if you want to apply leave for Christmas, the assistant will tell you how many days of leave you have, and then you can tell the assistant to apply the leaves for those number of days so that you get a better experience throughout. And as you can imagine, there are so many use cases that you can put on top of it. There is a career canvas we have, which if an employee wants to move from a current role to a role that is aspired for that person, the career canvas will suggest what is the path to take, what kind of training that a person has to take, what bridge programs that you may have to take to move to a new career stream, or what are the internal job posting that's available. So that complete career map that is available. We have got use cases on moments that matter. You've got use cases on how the appraisers get a summarized view of all the appraisal documents of employees. So there are several of that, and it goes to, there is an AI assistant for the sales team, which will summarize or give the best of the information from across the organization on the RFP documents, which we have done in the past. There is an AI assistant for the developer community, which will help them in better coding practices. So it's pretty inclusive across the board. So these are some of the examples, and there's several more, but in the interest of time, I'll stop there.
I learned a lot, for sure, and wrapped.
Good afternoon. Let me thank CAI for this opportunity, for being in this panel. I work for Larsen & Toubro. We are predominantly into EPC business, that is engineering, procurement, and construction, then high-tech manufacturing, and then into services. High-tech manufacturing to an extent that some of the parts of Chandrayaan is being manufactured in our plant. There are two ways I'm looking at it. One is, over the past 5-6 years, we have grown at a very, very fast pace. Today, we have an order backlog of more than 4 lakh crores to be executed. That is for the L&T alone. So we need a lot of talent. We need to attract, retain, and motivate the talent. The other aspect is there's a technology revolution which is happening. Whole lot of changes are happening in the environment. So all the EPC contracts are L1 technology. L1 technology means whoever the lowest will get the job. So we need to control the cost, increase the revenue, improve the productivity. So naturally, we have to go for technology. The whole lot of technology was brought inside L&T. When for the operations we brought in, we also transformed. HR transformation took place. We brought the entire database into one single source of truth, multiple systems, everything brought inside one, and a whole lot of employee engagement initiatives, different platforms, etc., were brought inside that. This is the broad scenario. Next, as he rightly said, at the environment outside, people are using Swiggy, using Uber, Ola, and that is the experience they are getting. So we need to rise up to that in order to keep the employee motivated. That is another reason for moving towards that. Slightly, I want to differentiate experience and engagement. Experience is at every touch point, right from even before applying the job, right from career portal till his exit, how does a person feels through that. When it comes to engagement, even till I strongly feel Hertzberg's two-factor theory remains constant in terms of responsibility, in terms of growth, in terms of motivation, in terms of work, that remains same. But how technology and this together is taken care. So we brought in a whole lot of initiatives in fact of the experience right from joining, onboarding. It is entire process, everything got automated. Some of the key initiatives, if I want to talk about, one is we have a appreciation portal, which is called as the Hi-Fi, where it is manager to subordinate recognition, peer-to-peer recognition, long service in terms of some achievements, all those things gets into a Facebook type of thing. In fact, earlier we had a workspace, which is a Facebook at work. Then last 3 years back, we moved to the Hi-Fi platform, which is doing extraordinarily well. And we have different badges, different things. For that also enables the productivity, because in case somebody does it, based on that, for each competency, we have a badge. So they say this competency you have displayed, so that that gets motivated, and there's a points attached to that, and points get reimbursed and all those things. Many of you may be having, even the Advantage Club is a wonderful platform, which I looked at. Next is we have an internal, communication is a very, very important source for motivation or engagement, which builds in trust and transparency among people. That's where we introduced L&T Radio, which is our own internal broadcast. It's an agency called Trimble. It has picked up like anything. My head of employee engagement, Akshata, is here. She has driven it. So right from leadership communication, in terms of some achievement by the staff, in terms of some achievement by the business, and multiple interviews with the different senior leaders, and with a very nice radio jockey. He does it in a very engaging manner so that people can use it in their hand mobile. Next is we have learning. As I said, the engagement is how do I learn and grow is one of the key factors for employee engagement. There we focus a lot. L&T is learning and training company. Somebody marks it as lunch and tiffin company. That also we provide well. But learning and training is the most important thing, because we are known for our canteen, different types of food. We have digital platform. You name any top digital learning systems, we have integrated into our platform. And it has all the facilities, like it is like a LinkedIn type. It gives you the next learning thing. There is a quiz, there is a gamified. And we have also created digital academies in terms of digital academy, in terms of ESG academy, in terms of safety academy, in terms of quality academy, so people can do. And for their level, what is their competency? Based on their competencies, different courses or learning paths are available that is being done. And we also introduced 2-3 years back the micro-learning platform called Rappel, which is very, very interesting and engaging, where you have a leaderboard at any point of time. If there is a different micro-sized learning in terms of video, PDF, PPTs are there in that. People can go through that, and at any point of time, you get a quiz. Different options. And once you answer it, immediately it asks whether you are 100% confident, or you are guessing, or you are in between, or so if you want to answer that also, it's just a click, like an Uber survey. It gives the, if you are right, it gives a very flowery thing, and then it gives the points, etc. But in the back end, it is monitoring how many people are taking a quiz, fully guessing that, or just like that is putting. So the statistics works in the background, analytics, so that you know, for example, in terms of a safety course, in terms of this X type of a fire, what extinguisher you used. If he is fully guessing and putting something, there's a serious problem there, okay? So based on that, you can arrange different set of training programs behind. That is there. We also do the connect to the portal, we do the appreciation week at different locations. So in person, people come and do all those activities. So in various ways, technology is being used to bring in employee engagement, and performance management is one important system. That's where the real engagement, according to me, which is what is expected out of me, how I am being appraised, have the opportunity to grow in this organization, have I being given a proper feedback. So we use the continuous feedback mechanism, which you can ask for a feedback, then can give feedback, and that feedback can be attached to a goal also. So we can create So we have effectively used digital technology in order to bring in engagement as well as experience. We'll talk further because one more panel is there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to take the opportunity to congratulate CII. I think another year of wonderful event has been hosted, and I'm so glad to be on the panel, sharing some of my perspectives. I work for Tata Motors, an automotive OEM, India's largest. The automobile industry, many of you may know, is the largest employer in the organized sector, starting from small-scale industries who do components to OEMs like us. And the industry encompasses a very, very diverse workforce, from people on the shop floor to, today, it starts from designing a vehicle, engineering a vehicle, manufacturing, sales, service. But today, there is also the whole question of recycling. We also own that. So Tata Motors' brand of recycling is called Rewire. So at the end of a life cycle of a vehicle, we actually take the vehicle, dispose, reuse parts in a very, very sustainable way. This is the breadth of automobile industry. Now, if you look at it from a shop floor worker, and also it's a old industry, right? Our company is 76 years old. Mahindra is something similar. So we have a very, very diverse age profile, even on the shop floor. Why do I start with it? Is when we talk of employee experience, we also have to include our shop floor colleagues, all the way up to our creative designers, and also today there's an active use of AI ML in the automobile industry, be it from a safety, you probably know of the self-driven cars, right? And that is really, really high-end technology. So we have a very, very diverse workforce. While some things are common, what is an employee experience, what is employee engagement also varies across this entire diverse population of employees we have. In addition to what Shaji talked about, how COVID really reset everything for us, I think there have been some fundamental changes even in our society, some of them driven by the government, some of them driven by the private sector. So for example, the use of an Aadhaar card today, or even if you look at EPFO, your introduction of a UAN, in my early part of my career, when employees moved from company to company, PF transfer was the biggest headache. While it might be with EPFO, it is employee experience for your employee. Today, technology has made it very easy. Most of even my workmen do banking on the mobile. They do a whole host of things on mobile. So their expectation from us is nothing less, what Jay Kumar talked about, different milestones in their life, in a career. They want to experience with the same ease of whatever service they're getting from an organization, if I can say that. The second piece is, today there's a lot more connotation around purpose, right? And I think there are two important things for purpose. One, which very importantly, the leadership team plays a role, connecting the purpose of the organization, communicating it to the organization, to the employees in real time. Second is giving them access to information or knowledge that will enable them pursue purpose. To a very big extent, today's youngsters and even otherwise experienced people who work in the automobile industry, there's a lot of, there are a lot of green warriors amongst us, right? Given what's happening in the environment, there's a huge bit of work happening to make transportation greener. It's an essential need, but how do you make it greener? Now, how does technology connect to it? a little bit going back to the first piece I said, right, at every stage in their life cycle, an employee wants a wonderful experience. We moved from managing transactions, we moved from managing process to actually managing experiences with the use of technology. The second is, when you talk about connecting, right, I believe today, again, there's so much of change, right, given OTT, etc. Everybody is so used to communication being available in any mode or channel that they choose. It could be real time, it could be recorded, it could be on the desktop, laptop, handheld phone, whatever it is. It's a fantastic opportunity for the organization to stay connected, but it comes with its own challenges. Perhaps I'll touch upon it in a minute. Then the third piece about engagement is access to information for people to do their job, to pursue their career interests. How do you get it real time? How do you make it easy, etc.? If you look at it broadly in these three areas, we've been able to deploy technology in each one of these areas. I'll just give a couple of examples. I heard that there was a very spirited discussion yesterday about performance management, right? So I will take that as an example because I think that's probably something on your mind. Look, while there can be a whole bunch of discussion about bell curve, no bell curve, differentiation, not differentiation, I think there are three simple rules of performance management: clear expectation, ongoing feedback, and holding people accountable or rewarding them for it. When you come to the second one, which is ongoing feedback, that's actually the biggest challenge. Because if at the end of the year, if there's any surprise, positive or negative, that means your system has failed. So we try to help address this with technology. We have a home-built system, but the wonderful thing is the team managed to make it, omnipresent across all ways of accessing it. They actually have used MS Teams. So it's actually a case study by MS Teams. Our performance management system is connected to MS Teams. So once someone does his goals, we have goals, and we also have leadership behavior on which we appraise people. At any time during the course of the year, the manager or the employee may initiate a conversation about their appraisal. So because we believe performance management is an equal responsibility of the employee, not just the manager. So I can go seek feedback from my manager. I can do it on a particular goal, particular leadership behavior, overall, etc. I can do it using MS Teams. I don't open one more app for it. I'm on MS Teams, I go to my manager, I say I want feedback, I go which particular area, I send it, my manager gets it, he or she gives me feedback. Now the best part is, at the end of the year, if it is connected, that's what we are trying to do to get all the systems connected. We are on the journey, everything is not connected. But at the end of the year, when the manager goes to a performance management system, which he also can access to give real-time feedback, if he or she has been giving feedback through the year, if they say summarize feedback, whatever has been discussed through the year, that comes as a summary, manager can edit and submit it. So our biggest challenge in performance management was more than differentiation, more than rating. It was, I'm surprised. I was surprised. No one told me in the course of the year. We've tried to use technology. The next step for us to use prompts now, both to the employee, both to the manager, saying, hey, do you want to talk about this? Connecting this to reward system. If I give somebody real-time feedback, we have one app which we call a Drishti, where all access for employees goes in from their pay slip to their appraisal to their travel, also the reward system. So within the system, the manager, if you've done something wonderful, I can also immediately kind of give you a reward. This is one example. The second, when you talk about employee engagement, which I define as discretionary effort by the employee, I think one of the other connotations that has become very important for us is the overall well-being. Now, how do you take overall well-being and bring it to every day to a manager? While we have a host of programs about well-being, both emotional, physical, etc., a simple indicator is, are people enjoying their leave? Right? So we now have real-time dashboards for the manager. If I go in, I look at what kind of leave my team has taken, and the system actually has a nudge. If I find one of my colleagues not taking leave, I can actually nudge him to say, please take leave. It's important for your well-being, for your family's well-being, take leave. So these are a couple of examples I want to share with you on how we are using technology to drive better employee experience, right? Assuming we want to touch them throughout the journey, make it easy, and also how we use it either to nudge and to make it easier for people who are responsible to do something about it. Now, I'll also mention one challenge before I hand it back to Manu. See, I don't know in your organization, but many of our systems, they're not necessarily interconnected. Now, the dream would be to have all of them connected. So an appraisal conversation should immediately link into a development conversation, link into a learning system where you get a nudge on what learning you could go to, right? So, or an appraisal system connected to a reward system wherein immediately when you give a positive appraisal, you have a chance to do something else, right? Or if I'm a new manager, my role changes. I can get assigned a whole set of learning. My title changes, I can get a whole set of learning. Or when something changes in the industry, ours is a very regulated industry because of emissions, right? So when something changes in the regulator, can I use it to immediately identify who all, create learning journeys for employees? I think those are things that we aspire for and we work towards connecting, and we hope we will be able to continuously build and offer better experience for employees, which I think is the foundation for better engagement. Manu, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All three of you have given very interesting case backings of your industry, the corporations you're working with. I look forward to taking the journey forward, starting with you, Shaji, first. You spoke about engagement and how you're creating experience with very interesting facets of Infini AI systems, personalized, just-in-time solutions. My first question to you is, how do you connect experience and engagement? Because engagement is that discretionary connect to the organization. Specifically in the dynamic of a very diverse workforce, which is multi-generational for you. Work patterns, I hear, are very different. And at the same time, people also have a very generational gap on accepting technology. So maybe just throw in a nugget of experience on how you're tackling with this challenge of very diverse workforce and the technology solutions on engagement that you spoke about.
Yeah, it's true. We do have diverse workforce. So all the systems that we design needs to be catering to a diverse workforce. And also we make sure that there is an inclusivity and accessibility in everything that we design. So for example, I was talking about the AI assistant, which we are giving for every employee in the company. So when we started on this, we did not assume from HR we know everything. So the first thing was to go and talk to people. So we had so many focus group discussions across various spectrums of people, across geographies, to understand what are some of the most pressing challenges that they have, so that we can improve the experience of the people. And as and when we've seen that the experience improves, the engagement, the connect with the organization also automatically increase. So we've seen that correlation between the two happening. So when we did this, as an example, when we did this AI assistant, there were so many use cases that came up. The first way for us to shortlist was to pick up those use cases which have got the maximum impact across the organization. So the example that I gave earlier about the policies, that touches the 330,000 people in the organization. So that was an easy one for us. Likewise, we also looked at then catering to all the various kinds of people. So there are people from, so we work out of 56 countries today. So obviously, not all of them are English speaking. So a lot of what we design, we make sure there are language capabilities so that every country can, there is accessibility from that perspective. We have also looked at the digital accessibility. The previous session was about the, we heard a lot about PWD, right? Persons with a disability. So every application that we design, we keep in mind that those have the digital accessibility embedded in that. Today, not all of them have. We are on a journey to make sure that every system is really accessible from a digital perspective for persons with a disability. And of course, all of these are mobile-first applications. So to that extent, the inclusivity, accessibility is not a big challenge. And our population, really speaking, is not as broad-based from a capability perspective, because most of them are engineers, and if not, they are all degree holders kind of people. But what we are doing, though, is from a enabling perspective, looking into the future, we are talking about AI, and we got to make sure that all these people are enabled on technology. So we've got a pyramid way of enabling people. At the bottom of the pyramid, what we call AI aware. So every person in the organization, we want to make sure that they are trained on what we call the AI aware course. So we are right now in that journey, and that we've got a target to complete everybody trained on that. Then on the pyramid, the next level is what we call AI builders. So these are the designers, the developers who would actually use AI capabilities to design applications, or they would use, let's say, a Copilot or a Code Whisperer to enhance their coding. So that's the next level of people who get trained. And on the top of the pyramid is what we call the AI masters. So these are the ones with the deep expertise in AI. So we are actually on that journey to enable people on this complete spectrum of AI so that we are future-proofing the entire organization from that perspective as well. And like, to your basic question, we have seen a clear correlation between, as you improve the experience, people who have been spending a lot of time, going back to my earlier example about, we get a few 100,000 queries every year based on some of these things, which is a waste of time, right? Think about, they're calling people, they're chasing people to get answers to their problems. If that AI assistant can give you that answer in just one query, that is several minutes at least, if not hours of time saved. So it actually also has a direct correlation to productivity if you can improve some of this experience. And that is really what we have seen.
We may need a spare mic here, please. I have a follow-up for you, and we'll keep on tossing the mics. Do you see resistance from any part of the organization? Because there is an element that some leaders prefer to engage with their workforce differently, and they don't like AI, and they don't like technology. And this question I'll actually open up to both of you as well, because you have a very diverse workforce which consists of blue-collar workers who are right at the factory setups to corporate employees. So how do you see it? And maybe, Ravi, if you could add your nuggets there.
Not really at all, because wherever we have applied AI, we can directly see the benefit. The employees can directly see the benefit. The previous example I talked about, if you put an AI assistant to solve a lot of those issues that they had, because the way we have designed is to look at what are some of the pressing issues that people have, and then to solve that issues that they have. So it's actually something very beneficial. Or if I look at a training platform, AI will nudge you, will help you direct in whichever way that we want to do. Another example I'll give you, the moments that matter, what we do is, let's say as an example, there is a childbirth for one of our employees. So the AI is going to now ask that individual, have you registered your child into the group insurance policy of the company? Or maybe will nudge you to, or give you information about where is the nearest creche that is available, right? So these are all helping people to make their lives better. And I really haven't seen any resistance from applying technology, because the way we have designed it is not something which is going to impose on them. It is something which really enables them, help them in their journey, which really will, they can use it if they want to, Nobody's imposing it on them, right? It's a tool that is available on their fingertip. They'll be happy to use those.
So, Manu, I think there are two things that I see where technology, or to an extent, I can't say we've deployed AI in a big way, but wherever technology helps managers and leaders execute things in a much more efficient way, I see them leverage it. Okay, so it could be in the form of communication, it could be in the form of giving a reward, etc. They love it, and also employees love it. Now this is one piece. Now the other side is where we are trying to drive change, right? There we actually use technology to nudge the managers, but it also requires a mindset or a cultural shift from the managers, because technology becomes one more tool. So I gave you this example of real-time feedback. Do all my leaders use it? The answer is no. Because fundamentally, I think many managers are still comfortable to give real-time feedback. It is not a natural, I think, way of working for people to be able to give real-time feedback. There are a variety of reasons for it. Maybe the manager's skill. It could also be the discomfort in talking about difficult things. They'd rather postpone it. So I find that where it's making them more efficient, they do it. Where some of the other things, while we may have added technology to help change, it is helping drive change, but the adaptation is limited to how much of change people are willing to do. So therefore, what do we do with this? This also we can try and help address or help a bigger nudge with technology. So I'll give an example. So for us, because of engagement, we have some guidance on, we have a budget for rewards. We call the program as accolades, and we would like managers to reward people real time. Not only reward their own team members, but also reward team members from other teams, because we want that cross-functional appreciation and to drive collaboration. So we've given them a budget and some guidance on, please use this budget, not only your team, but also go and do it with the other team. So it's a metric that we follow. The second is, we would like, again, because of engagement, growth is an important point. We want managers to encourage their employees to move, not stay in the same job. It's a choice. Someone may decide to stay in the same job, but we would like to encourage employees to move around, because that allows them the growth opportunity if they want it. So that's another metric we look at managers. What percentage of your employees have moved? So there are multiple metrics like this, and therefore we've come up with a real-time manager scorecard. So a manager can see how he is performing on that. And when we discuss leaders for promotion, in addition to his or her performance, we also use the scorecard to say, how good a people leader is he, right? So, sorry for a slightly longish answer, but I think where it makes them efficient, people adapt it. Where it is linked to a larger change we are trying to drive, this becomes one more stepping stone for them. And the more we can put this in front of them with nudges, etc., we just hope the progress will be faster.
Thanks.
See, thanks for asking this question. Very, very important. It's very easy to get a reward and recognition platform. You can get all those things, continuous feedback. If you spend money, you can get SuccessFactors, Workday, or Oracle, whatever it is there you can get. But implementation is the real challenge. Continuous nudges required. It should be, the user experience should be good. It has to be monitored through a dashboard. Continuous nudges to be given. And again, it's a culture. It should come from the top. How the leaders practice this, how the leaders use that, then only it will be implemented. Biggest challenge is getting it implemented. It is not easy. It took long time for us to bring it into. Even now we are struggling with certain areas.
No, that's a very good call out. In fact, my double click next, Ravindra, I'm coming back to you on another question for this is, in the industry that you represent or in the past, General Electric, how did you observe the leader's role in driving engagement through technology? You gave a very interesting example of a manager scorecard, and it's voluntary at the end of the day. But if you were to really take the agenda forward and say engagement is discretionary commitment to the organization. What does the role a leader play in creating that engaged workforce? And any example that comes to your mind on this has been a fantastic engagement strategy by a leader that you observed or yourself?
Again, for this, technology would be really an enabler, right? Because I don't think technology itself will drive engagement, but successful leaders have leveraged technology to be able to reach out to their workforce, connect with them, and therefore be able to build the discretionary effort that you require from them. Look, the first one I think is growth. People want growth, not necessarily promotional growth, but whatever area someone has chosen as a profession, he or she wants to grow to their highest potential. So we have multiple things. All organizations have multiple policies and processes to help that, be it from your performance system to your development plan to your training, etc. I believe technology makes it far more easier to be able to give access to them. So wherever I find leaders using these available technologies, I think they do a good job. The second one is, communication, right? The wonderful thing about technology is you can choose to use technology to have open communication. You can also use technology to provide anonymity if your organization doesn't have that sense of psychological safety that people want to openly talk about it. So Manu, my view is that these are tools like any toolbox that you get. You'll have a hammer, you'll have a saw, and you'll have a sledgehammer. It's the leader's discretion to pick up the right one and use it. I don't think technology itself will help you with that.
Oh, that's a very interesting call out. I'm still split in this entire conversation of engagement through technology. And the reason I'm split is because if I look at myself and call me dated, I still want a leader to engage with me real time, have a coffee with me, or tell me how am I doing, or what's my life going to be in the organization. So, Jaikumar, what's your thought on this split which many organizations' employees face? It's a faceless technology out there telling you everything, and what I need is that personal touch.
See, it is not, that's what we keep on telling, it is high tech and high touch. Okay? It cannot, it's not high tech or high touch, it is both. So, definitely, technology helps in that. I'm not at every point that it is required, but one best thing with technology is hyper-personalization. Okay, it is. Let it be your portal. You as soon as you open, it says hi Jaikumar. It says your screen you can customize to yourself. Learning, it is curated for your area. If you are looking at each area, when I touch, it is personalized. That is one area of content. And as he said, communication is one area which is required, where it can be a large scale, where leadership address in New York right from the directors, or from, it is done both. It is not that we did a town hall through using a webinar or whatever it is, and then, but every time when leaders go to site, they engage with people, they meet each one of them and do that. Same way, if it is a digital learning, not that we stopped with the digital learning. There is a hybrid version where we have 18 training centers. We use it effectively as a pre-learned, post, and as well as reinforcing that learning. If you talk performance management, we have a continuous conversation. It doesn't end there. But there's a personal check-in, one-on-one feedback happens. So it has to be very, very effectively used, and it is a necessity today because of dispersed people working in different places. And we have to, you cannot just leave it to technology, nor we can say that, no, I will have only personal touch. You have to have a balance.
No, I really like this, high tech and high touch. So thanks for sharing this. My last question to the panel, before we open it up for a couple of audience questions, if you have any. Shaji, how do you measure engagement for business impact?
Yeah. So we measure on 3 dimensions. The first is the input, the other is the output, and the third is outcome. So what I mean by that is input is really the effort that goes into various engagements that we do. The output is really on the telemetry that we are putting in all the systems that we have so that we know what part of the application is used by people, which is used more often, where are some of the issues and all that. So the telemetry in all these applications help to understand how well it is being utilized. But the outcome is really what is most important, right? What is the final outcome of all these applications and the engagement experience that we are talking about? One of the ways in which we measure is by using an experience index. So it's something that we have created within the organization, which looks at 10 different processes of what we call the moments that matter, right from the time a person joins the organization into the entire journey all the way till retirement. So there are 10 defined processes. And the perception score, which we get out of that, we have made a composite index out of that. And because all of this, in some form or shape, is driven through technology as well. And that experience index we look at on a monthly basis, quarterly basis. A lot of these metrics also we report to the board on a quarterly basis. So there is accountability on us to make sure that we improve this quarter on quarter. But ultimately, in my mind, it all make a sense or a difference if we are able to impact what really matter for the organization, which is really in the form of revenues and margins. And for that, we do need an engaged employee base. So we do measure the employee satisfaction. We do measure the attrition. We measure the way we would advocate, the advocacy of an employee to the larger organization. And of course, various parameters like a culture index, a well-being index, all of those. There are measurements for pretty much all of this. So, and there is a pulse score, which that's what we internally call. This is open anytime. So any day of the year, anytime, employees can give feedback. So it's a continuous feedback. And based on all this, we arrive at all these metrics and then see how the correlation to the ultimate outcome for the organization. So that is how we measure it.
These are great examples, and I'm sure a lot of audience will reach out to you for a double click with your team.